Welcome, survivor, to Savage Country, where you can find rugged wear for the primal survivors. There's clothing, there's weapon, there's ammunition, there's everything you need except all those decorations that you probably want to have when you're building your base. And that is, of course, what this video is all about. I am going to go through the expanded decorations modlet that I have been updating for Alpha 19. And if you've been following my channel and my mods, then you know I put this out previously for the previous alphas as well, simply because I love to decorate my base. I love to have all these things in my house that you actually cannot craft, but that actually exist in 7 Days to Die Vanilla. Vanilla assets that are really cool, but you can't use them because you can't craft them. Why? Why, Fun Pimps? Why have you done that? You have all these really great things in the game that we can't actually take advantage of because you haven't given us any crafting recipes. So that's what I've been doing. I've been putting out all these things, and I'm going to show you what I've done so that you can go ahead and decorate your base as well. Or just your POI, so your chicken that is running around. All right, anyway, I guess he's going to the soul. Why did the chicken enter Savage Country? Was looking for a feather jacket? No, okay, that was a terrible joke. Now, this modlet exists on Nexus Mods, and I will leave a link in the description for where to go and grab it. It's like any other modlet. You simply download it from the page. It's free. You might have to register an account. Then you unzip it and put it into your mods folder. If you don't have a mods folder, then you just create one. It's like pretty much any other mod out there. So all of these ones can be accessed in the workbench. You can actually craft them, and you do a search for expanded, and you will see that all these different ones: commercial, construction, doors, home furniture, kitchen furniture, lights, poster, expanded signs, technology, and vehicles. Now, what I have done, I have put in some generic costs for different materials that actually seem to make sense. However, one of the challenges with the Fun Pimps not having balanced these things is that, for instance, let's say you take a fridge. Now, if you scrap it or you wrench it down, you might actually get more than 3 electrical parts and 1 mechanical parts. In effect, you could then just craft a bunch of this one and then just wrench it and you get lots of resources. What I've done to balance that a little bit, I put in a constant Duke Casino tokens, simply to make that a little bit less worthwhile, because that's not the intent. But since these are vanilla assets, definitely some of them you could craft and wrench and you get more resources back than you put into it. Sorry, I can't do much about that if I don't redo all the assets and I want to keep them vanilla. It doesn't require any skill unlocks. You can just go and craft it in a workbench as soon as you have the resources. And because I haven't tied it into any skills, this modlet is generally pretty safe. It should work for a lot of different mod packs, and it shouldn't really have any conflicts with other mods as well. For instance, I tried it on my Darkness Falls server as well, and it had absolutely no issues, just fine, because it's using the vanilla asset there and just adds on different recipes to craft and use them. So it's really lightweight, and it's perfect on a server because you only need to put that on the server. You don't need to have the client to install it. So these are the ones, and let me go through a little bit what they do. So let's start off with expanded vehicles. Now, like any of these ones, they're actually a shape menu, and that allows me to basically have one crafting for a bunch of different things. You hold R, and you basically get up this selection wheel, you hit shape, and you'll see the different ones that I put in. I put in the ambulance, low power service truck, working stiff, and some cars and some other of the buses that are there. For instance, the army truck is also there. And then you basically can place it down. Now, something really weird, let's see if, oh, it worked. Something really weird about some of these vehicles is that they have a tendency to explode when you put them down. I'm not really sure. Could be when they're clipping through something. But look at that. Let's say you want to have an army truck. Of course, it doesn't run. You can run it, but you can use it to store things in your base. Let's say you want to have an ambulance outside of your base because, well, you know, there's a lot of death there. Let's see if we can put it down. And like that. Now you saw it slightly sunk into the ground. Again, it's because of how the terrain is done. But yeah, now you have an ambulance in your base. Really, really nice. And it's something that they should have done in vanilla by itself. It should have been there. So you can use this as a storage or something, or simply just to look nice. And same thing with the buses. You want to put down a bus because you want to have that outside of your base. Why not? And of course, put some loot in there as well. Of course, you can't really use it. You can't drive it around. But hey, that's pretty cool. If you wanted something that you can drive around, you try out Snufkin's vehicle mod. That is pretty cool as well. It does have actually a battle bus that actually allows you to drive it around. So that's the first one. Let's look at the signs though. So we have a bunch of signs. There's obviously a lot more signs in there that I haven't put in, but I've taken a bunch of the normal ones that you can have as well. Let's say you want to have a stop sign, because why not? Who doesn't want to have a stop sign outside of their base, right? Maybe you want to have a speed limit to tell all those crazy friends of yours that, hey, don't exceed the speed limit because it's really noisy. Doing some road work, well, why not put down a road work sign? Again, these are assets that actually exist in the game already. This is really lightweight to just put in this modlet. So now we're inside Savage Country here, and we are looking at the commercial one. So let's have a look at what this one has. This is where I put in a bunch of things that actually are more commercially related. For instance, your cash register. I mean, that's something you often can buy as well. But you even have, for instance, some of the signs. And this one is actually has some light to it. So if I put it up here, come on, let me put it here. Actually, even at night, you'll be able to see it. Isn't that cool? Another thing that I really like to have on my base is I like to store my ammo, for instance, in some proper cases. Let's say I do something like this. Doesn't that look nice? And then we can take another one here and we can put that in as well. Right, and then you can basically store your ammo types in there as well. At least it'll look like there's ammo inside your base as opposed to simply a boring box or boring chest or something. Same thing, you want to have an equipment rack? Well, why not have an equipment rack and you put your armor, for instance, there? Right, that'll look real cool. It would be nice if the rack itself would reflect what the equipment was inside, but unfortunately that's not how the game works, at least not yet. Same thing, you want to put down a gun rack, put your guns inside. It looks like it's full of guns even though it's empty, but at least it looks a bit better than just having these boring boxes that we keep on having. Even, of course, we can write on them, but they don't look as cool as this. And again, these are really nice assets that are in the game already. Oop, I don't know why I bashed that one. Let's say you want to put your clothes somewhere in your base. Well, why not have a clothing rack? And put a clothes shelf, right? Put your kind of dirty clothes. Why are they so dirty? Maybe they've been in there for way too long. But again, these are really beautiful assets that I added on in Alpha 19. And of course, you have the mannequins. And of course, maybe you want to have a friend. Oh, actually, that's a broken friend. Let's have a non-broken friend. Maybe you feel a bit lonely. You want to have some help at home, some domestic help, you know, in the kitchen or something. Or you want to have your guards or something. It would be nice. Let's go from here. It would be nice if we actually could put clothes on these mannequins. But again, it might make your home look a little bit less sterile. So special, the commercial one that I've added on, this is new for Alpha 19, with a bunch of these ones are assets that are in Alpha 19. You want to have a bookshelf? Well, why not put a real bookshelf down that looks better than the regular one? And of course, put your books inside. Let's have a look at the posters. One of the things that I really like in some mod packs is that you can actually pick up the posters to put them down. So for instance, let's see some of these really nice posters. Take that one, Lone Wolf. Why can't we just grab this one from when we see it out and about and just bring it home? Because it's stuff like this that really makes the home feel a little bit better, a little bit more homely and not so boring. And of course, I've included all the normal portraits and stuff like that you have as well. And there's some really cool one. Let's say this one, the wanted and so this is the wanted and missing one. I think, let's see, can we? There are some we should recognize here. Kumquat is there. I'm sure there's some bunch of people who have actually been involved in the game at some point. Maybe they still are. I don't know. All the people are working for the fun pimps. Wanted dead or alive, and there's a bigger reward if you turn them in. Big Mama's Justice. And I think personally these are really cool to have in your base. Again, that's one of the issues that we have right now. We don't have a lot of textures, and even though these assets exist in the game, if we can't bring them home, if we can't craft them, we can't pick them up, then we can only see them when we're out and about. We can't use them in our own buildings and our bases. And that's something that I really wish they're going to be fixing. I know they've sort of alluded that they might consider it, but that's really why I make my modlet, to allow you to put these things down in your base. So a bunch of the nice posters as well. And of course, if you want to have a bathroom sign, let's put that one down as well. Why not? I mean, you have a female bathroom, right? I mean, for your guests. Let's move on to the construction stuff. So this is a bunch of things that are sort of construction related. For instance, we have all the pallets and everything with the bags of cement. Then we have the pallet, the blue ones that you can put on, and a few variations of them, like your bricks, for instance. Put them down. Again, this makes it look cooler when you're having your sort of your half-finished base, or some areas that maybe you want to look a little bit unfinished. And you can even have them, for instance, for your storeroom. A lot of this really cool stuff that just works and look nice, and pipes and everything. You have the, for instance, the hoist chain that you can, let's see, can I put that up here? I can, I think, hoist chain, and then we have, no, let's put this one. Something like that. Again, things that just makes your base come alive a little bit with some different assets in there. So try these ones out. You have a fireplace. Well, why not have some firewood as well around your place? Now we come to the kitchen furniture. This is actually one of the reasons why I started making this one. If you know from previous versions, you actually could make some refrigerators, and then suddenly that vanished. So I'm like, I wanted to have a refrigerator for my kitchen, and is he stuck there? Oh, I got a chicken pen. All right, anyway. So I wanted to have a refrigerator to put my food in, and I couldn't. I mean, it looks a little bit crappy, unfortunately. I wish there was a really nice one. But I couldn't because they had removed it. You couldn't even craft it anymore. So I decided that, hey, that's something that I definitely need. And then I just continued on adding other things. Let's say you want to have your soda fountain. Why not? I mean, who doesn't want to have a soda fountain, right? Or your coffee maker. There's a few different kinds of them out there as well. And of course, that wood burning stove that you want to put in, because of course you want to have a stove in here. I mean, if you have the wood, you want to have the stove, right? I wish it would work as a regular, like a campfire instead. That would be really cool. And things like your wall oven, which is actually looks really weird. Why is this a wall oven? If it was in the wall, you wouldn't be able to use the burner. So this shouldn't really be a wall oven. You would consider this a wall oven? I would consider, I mean, a wall oven, I would consider something that you sort of set in like, oh, I didn't know there was something behind there. Something that you set in like this. I would consider this a wall oven. But obviously then the burners on top would cause a bit of a fire. Outdoors, of course, you want to have your barbecue, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't work, but it looks nice at least. And there's a bunch of other furniture that is in there. We have the home furniture here where I have a bunch of things. Who doesn't want to have, for instance, this is really one of my favorite. Who doesn't want to have a pool table? Again, it's beautiful assets like this that are really nice in a special Alpha 19. Of course, there were a bunch of them previously as well. They look, I mean, they really look very good. But why can't we craft them? They're already there. Let's say you want to have a stationary bike for your gym. I mean, why can't you make one of those? So I've added that on. I put some treadmill. Let's say you want to have a basketball hoop. Why not? You want to have things like your bathtub in your toilet. I mean, you should be able to do that. Of course, you can't use it, but at least you should be able to put it in as a decoration. And for the fun of it, of course, I put in, if you want to have your PC, can I put it here somewhere? You want to have your PC. It doesn't look so good, but it looks, you know, at least it's there. You have your PC and your mouse. If you want to put down something like your utility card, you can do that as well. And some of them are actually inventories, and some of that, obviously, the computer is not. So you can use some of them as just decoration, or some of them just to store things. And something that I just couldn't make myself skip this. I actually decided to put in some of these body bags because, I mean, it's not that necessarily you'd want to have that, but maybe you have a morgue at home. I mean, who knows? And some of them really looked really good. They, you know, it's something that not necessarily for everyone, but I like this one personally. It's got the flies around it. Look at this. Oh, can you hear them? Yeah, you can hear the flies as well. A little bit soft, but you can hear it in the background. So stuff like that you can have, for instance, in your morgue or outside of your base. But moving on, there's some technology things that I put in as well. A bunch of the consoles. So this is something that I like to have in my base because I like the idea personal of being able to have, oh, no, I don't want that one. To have like my control system at home. Not that you can really do much with it, but at least something that sort of shows that, hey, no, this is my technology room. This is where I have all my cameras that is sort of keeping an eye on things, sort of controlling my whole base, all my traps and defenses and stuff like that, you know. And I think that was a pretty cool thing. And again, it's an asset that actually exists in the game. There's a bunch of these different ones. So I just decided just to put them in and let you play around with them if you want to have them in your base. And things like, for instance, you have your hospital bed, right? I mean, it looks like someone actually did already expire on it, but you know, it might not be that comfortable, but at least you can have a hospital bed. Also, courtesy of Sati, so I actually made some of these doors. There's a bunch of doors in there, so we put in a few different ones. Let's say you want to have the commercial door, again, metal one. There's a few doors that we can have, like the usual wooden door, metal door, but why can't we have more of them? Because again, sometimes you might want to have them, and including some of the trim as well to put in your door side. Okay, that one doesn't, oh, that doesn't fit there. You're gonna have to be on the other side. There we go. I can put a trim on it as well. I mean, it looks nice and everything. Again, it makes this look slightly different. And of course, we want to have the bottom trim as well. We put that in as well, like that. Again, just makes it look a little bit nicer than it is normally. And finally, one of my favorites. I need a little bit more space here. Let's run over here. I'm going to put down the generator because it's actually going to be needed. I'm going to put in a couple of these ones. I'm going to refuel. I'm going to turn on. So, another great thing that Satis put in. Thank you, Satis. He actually took a bunch of these existing assets that are in the game, and it's been one of the things that a lot of people have been a little bit frustrated about because there's so many lights in the game, but you can't craft them. So you can only use the simple light bulb and stuff like that, but why can't you do something like this? Like say you want to have a road barricade like that, right? It looks nice. I mean, it's nice as an asset, right? But then you connect it to the generator and look at this. All of a sudden, it turns on. Let me see if I can do that. Get rid of some of the lights that are there. Right? See, now all of a sudden, it looks a lot nicer if we turn it off. Switch it off, right? It looks nice. I mean, you can have that outside of your base, for instance. Let's say you want to have another one. Let's say you want to have this one, the work light. Let's put that down again to show a certain area. Let's connect it like this. And oh, look at this. I mean, it's something that's really, really nice. There is some issues with these ones in the sense that if you switch it off, the draw of the power is still the max one because there's something wrong with these assets themselves. The electricity doesn't quite count the way it should be. So use this normal switch if you want to turn them off and off, because even if I switch it off, switch this off, it still says that there's a 6 power draw. It's not a bug. Well, it is a bug, but it's something that can't be easily fixed because I think it's part of the assets. It doesn't properly switch it off even when it should be, because this is not one of the normal craftable lights. And there's a bunch of them that I really like. Let's say you want to have a desk lamp for your base, right? You put that in and all of a sudden you have this nice little green yellowish glow. I mean, stuff like that is what makes the base feel a lot more homely. One of my absolute favorites as well is this street light. I mean, it's a beautiful model. And I don't know why they haven't allowed us to actually craft them, because let's say you want to have your base and you can put a few of these ones outside on your path leading up to your base and you have some nice lights. When you have your exit sign, of course, that one should have a light as well, right? I mean, it has to really show that this is the one like that. It's the proper exit, right? And you could even put this one only turn on, for instance, on a timer at nighttime. So again, thank you, Satis, for putting these ones in. So there's a bunch of these really cool assets that are in the game. I've only imported them and I'm using the same ones, and I put in some recipes so you can craft them, and it's pretty straightforward, and that's why I put the shape menus, which makes it really easy to just add on extras as well, just adding them on in the XML file. And it works as well single player as it does on a server. So where do you get them and how do you install it? Well, let me show you. So here we are at nexusmods.com, 7 days to die mod 607, and it'll have some information about how you do how you install it and what it actually includes and everything, the different updates as well. And I even put down some old videos in there when I was crafting it or creating this models in previous versions. And you basically either you can use it through Vortex, which is their game mod installer, or you can just download it manually as well. Just make sure you download the proper version 1.3 for Alpha 19 and do a manual download, for instance. As often with these sites, they want you to sign up and everything, but you can do a slow download. It's not really big anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So just, as you can see, it's really small. So once you've downloaded it, you have to navigate to your 7 days to die folder, and you basically right-click, go Properties, Local Files, and Browse. They'll bring you over to where the game has been installed, and then you craft and create your own mods folder if there isn't any. If you have other mods, obviously it's going to be there. If you haven't, just create a folder called mods, and you basically unzip it in here, and you'll see expanded decorative for Vedui42. And as you go in down one step, again, it has to be one step, you should see the config folder and mod XML and mod info, etc. If you are seeing it, sometimes this happens when people are unzipping it, depending on how their zip program is working and what options they have. They end up basically with one further down. So inside this one, there'll be another expanded decorative, and only then do you end up like this incorrect. Copy things up so you have mods, and one down you have this. And that's it. That's all you need to do to install it. And then you just run the game as per usual. And it's very unlikely that it causes you any issues. If you have other mods that is causing some conflict, do let me know. Write me a note, and I can see what I can take a look at. But so far, I haven't seen any issues. Like I said, I installed it on my Darkness Falls mod pack, which is really big remake of vanilla, where Kane has done a really good job of just changing things around. So there's tons of changes in there, and my modlet had no problems playing nice with it. I even showed it off on my stream in the past when I was streaming on Twitch, just to show people that it works and it's out there, because I released this modlet actually a few weeks ago. I haven't made a video until today though. So hopefully you enjoy decorating your bases as much as I do, because I really love it. So go ahead, try this modlet out and make your base and your houses a lot better. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll catch you again next time, Survivor.
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the Vedui community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link.